Good afternoon. Thank you, everyone, very much for being here today. My name is Councillor Tom Vague, and I'll be chairing today's site plan meeting. First, before we begin, I'd just like to introduce members of council that are present. We have Councillor Tom Hempin, Councillor Joe Sponga, Councillor Kelly Broom-Plumley, Councillor Christina Benanz, Councillor Dave Kerwin, Councillor Jane Twinney, and Regional Councillor and soon-to-be Deputy Mayor John Taylor. If I can ask staff to introduce themselves, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To my left is Linda Travis, planner, senior development planner, and my name is Rick Nethery. I'm the director, and we have Commissioner Noah Hammer. Beside you, Mr. Chair, is Kim Pelham from the planning department, and we also have Chris Ann Finnerty.
Thank you. And we have a number of members of the proponents team here. Perhaps if I can ask who's here representing, and I know we have York Region Transit, Emergency Medical Services, Property Services Branch, someone from Chapnick Limited and Cole Engineering, but I'm not sure all who's here. Perhaps you can introduce yourselves.
Good afternoon, members of the committee. I'm Lauren Capolonga with Malone Given Parsons. I'm the land use planner on behalf of York Region. And we have Martin Silver here from York Region as well.
Manager of Capital Delivery for the Property Services Branch, and we have some of our staff from the EMS group and from the YRT group. We have Blair Croker, Tim Baltson from YRT, and Kyle Catney from the YRT group, and the others from EMS.
Okay, thank you very much all for being here.
Thank you for having us. We want to thank you again for hearing this application and for your consideration. I think you have some notes that were circulated to you by staff to do with a PIC that was held.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Excuse me.
Wait, I'm sorry. Apologies.
Oh, I'm sorry. I will ask if anyone has any declarations to make of pecuniary interest. Sorry, excuse me.
My apologies.
My apologies, I missed that.
It's okay.
Thank you. I'm happy to declare an interest and will be participating in the discussion as my employer is adjacent to the property.
Thank you. Thank you for reminding me.
Well, thank you, Councillor Vague and members of the committee. Sorry, is there any?
Yeah, I taught Tim Balston, and I'm responsible for him being there.
40 years ago.
Sorry. We think you turned out pretty well, so thank you for the teachings. Thank you. Sorry, Mr. Chair and members of the committee, again, thank you for hearing this application. We did go forward to a PIC back in early May, and I think you have a record of that PIC meeting and the numbers of individuals from the community who attended that PIC. I think there were approximately 5 members of the community that did show up at that meeting. They had a number of questions. I don't believe there was any actually written sign-offs at the meeting itself or to us, but there were a number of questions that were answered. The majority were around the EMS station, how it operates and relates to the community. But we also went forward with a couple of your requirements, which were addressed to the PIC to deal with replacement of a fence along Aspenwood Drive, and as well to look at some additional landscaping to make sure that we had proper buffering for the EMS station from the local community so that we wouldn't be impacting the residents of the community. And those were on the boards that were presented at the PIC, and I believe they're part of your attachments today. So if you would like a presentation, certainly Lauren from Malone Given Parsons can give you a presentation, or if you have any questions, we're prepared for either or those options. So thank you.
My colleagues on council, would you like to see the complete presentation? There seems to be a consensus that we're familiar enough with this project and familiar enough with what happened at the PIC and the changes that you've made in early May. Do any members of Councillor Twinney?
Just a quick question through you, Mr. Chair. The fencing that's going to be alongside that's being replaced, that wooden fencing that's there now, is it being replaced with that's on this picture here, this diagram, the more of the concrete type of fencing? And if so, were the residents aware of what type of fencing is going to be going in so that they know what is going to be put in place there?
Through you, Mr. Chair. Yes, the panels that are attached to the memo, the staff memo, which I believe you have in your presentation, those are excerpts of slides, materials that were available at the public information meeting. So the public was shown two versions of the fencing that is proposed to be constructed along Aspenwood Drive, and it was made clear that those are the proposed designs at this point.
The concrete style.
Correct.
As opposed to the wooden, or both?
It's actually, a portion of it will be concrete, and another majority of it will be the wood fence.
Oh, okay. And any particular reason why one area, which area are you contemplating putting the concrete type fencing in? Is that for a particular reason, I'm assuming?
Yes, if you see on the slide, on the noise mitigation slide, there's a red line which relates to the proposed area where that concrete fence is going to be located.
Okay.
And that's really just because we're proposing an access, it's going to penetrate the berm, which is a noise attenuation feature. We've got to replace it with something that can control the sound so that there's no adverse impact on the adjacent community. And our noise expert, Shiva Paul, who's also here with us today, it's her recommendation through the detailed study of the noise work that she's done that we would require a concrete fence in that general vicinity. Through the site plan process, we're going to refine it. We know that we can shrink the area back a little bit. And then the blue fence line, which is along the majority of the Aspenwood frontage, that is pretty much the existing area where the wood fence is today, and we're going to replace that fence.
You're replacing it all. And then you're going to do some landscaping along there as well?
We're going to look into that, absolutely.
Okay. Will you be in control of keeping that area maintained? Because I know it can be quite messy there in that area. It gets really, there's litter, the vegetation seems to grow. The only reason I know is because my mother-in-law lives right near there, so I just noticed it quite a bit. So I'm just wondering if you'll be maintaining that sort of bank area just to keep it looking nice and neat.
I'm not sure at this point in time. We haven't had those discussions yet with staff, but it's something that we could
Okay, just
have
maybe
that
make a
dialogue
note
about.
that I think it has looked messy in the last few years, so.
I can just add to that, Councillor, that we did ask the question, would we be responsible? If it is something that is a requirement for the region to look after, we will do so, but we just wanted to make sure it was clear as to who should be maintaining that area and make sure that it is kept clean.
Sure, great, thank you.
Councillor Bazans.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thanks very much. I was at the PIC, and so certainly appreciated the answers that I received, and I was also talking to a number of the residents there and heard their concerns and their questions, and I do believe that the team did a great job in answering a lot of those. I also had a question just for clarification around the fence, so thank you for answering that. But the other concern that I've heard, and I just would like clarification around, is on the lighting, particularly with the in the parking lot and the EMS station, because there are homes that are facing directly there. So what kind of lighting can we expect? Will there be sort of anything that's obtrusive or that's going to be shining into people's windows? Have you given consideration to that?
All the lighting that will be proposed for the building will be downward facing, so it won't have any impact on the adjacent community.
Okay, so nothing that people are going to have glaring lights in their...
Through you, Mr. Chair, to the councillor as well, for LEED certification, one of the scorecard points we have to achieve is reducing light spread. So certainly we'll be looking at the kind of lighting that will minimize any spread of light. So it will be downward facing, or wall pack will be downward facing along the building for security purposes, but nothing that would cause light to spread beyond the site.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I'd just like to introduce Mayor Van Buyden, who's joined us, and Regional Councillor Taylor.
Thanks very much. Thanks very much for doing the PIC, coming back with this. I think the fence is going to be aesthetically quite a good improvement. I think it's going to look really good, and I think you've got the balance right. My only comment is on the portion that is bricked in particular, or stone, that from our experience with a similar fence, so on Bathurst Street, if you, there's this, probably a similar style fence on Bathurst Street that a developer's put in by Davis. If you can consider some fairly mature and maybe more aggressive screening. I tend to find the aesthetics of the wood pretty good, and with a few plantings, they can take time to sort of even improve it more. But these walls can be very big and imposing and not that attractive. I understand why it's necessary, and I think the residents will probably appreciate the attenuation. But if we can, it's just a request, and I'll leave it with you. But if you can look at something maybe about some slightly more mature plantings or a more aggressive treatment. Otherwise, thanks very much. It's looking good, and both of these will add to the service level in town. Thank you.
Councillor Sponga.
Through Mr. Chair, I suspect that the checklist in terms of accessibility and green applications and so forth, green build, was submitted with the original site plan. There usually is a checklist, and I don't see it through you, maybe to Linda. Is that what happened?
Yes, through the chair to Councillor Sponga. That was part of your original agenda package, so it does reside in the file, and staff will be reviewing it if the application is moved forward.
So just as a refresher, can you tell us what sort of sustainability measures you've used in terms of the type of landscaping, how rain is being treated on site in terms of low development, low impact development and so forth? Just I don't have the sheet in front of me, so I'm not sure.
Through you, Mr. Chair. To be honest, we don't have that information really available at our hands either. We did submit that checklist, and I believe it was complete as far as we had heard. To speak just quickly to the landscaping, I know what we have proposed is to the extent possible native and drought resistant species, and I believe that's in line with the accessibility checklist. I believe coming to mind are other items that speak to being accessibility compliant, which we have a number of measures being implemented through the site plan that will address that request. I will respectfully ask if Linda has a copy of the checklist we have provided to see if there's anything
My
we could
specific
add.
interest is really on more than anything else in terms of the low impact development as it pertains to the watershed. We're seeing more and more areas that are being paved over, and this is a very significant area, the whole mall area, north of the mall area. So I'm just wondering if there had been any discussion with our engineering department in trying to obtain best practices or highest and best practices, and trying to align with some of the policies that the Conservation Authority is trying to get in place in terms of these type of developments. And being a regional development, I think that both municipalities have to lead in this aspect.
Through you, Mr. Chair, to Councillor Sponga, certainly we'll be looking at in detail at those kinds of requirements and making sure we satisfy your engineering department's needs and requirements, everything from permeable pavers to looking at how stormwater is going to be managed on the site so it doesn't affect water table or surrounding properties. Drought-resistant vegetation, which we normally do for part of all our projects now. We try to go to drought-resistant without irrigation systems, so we're not causing any impact on the local environment. So those are the kinds of things we'll be doing, but we'll certainly be trying to satisfy any and all requirements.
I might just look to make a very minor amendment that that staff had an opportunity in making sure that crossed all our T's and dotted all our I's in that respect. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more comments from members of council? There being none, any comments from the staff? Anything you'd like to draw our attention to? Okay. Yeah, that being the case, thank you very much. I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the application and to refer the comments, particularly on the fencing, lighting. There's a question on the property maintenance also by Councillor Twinney, and also regarding the low impact development. If I can have a motion to that effect. So moved by Councillor Bazans, seconded by Regional Councillor Taylor. All those in favor? Okay, thank you very much. And also, if I can just ask for a motion to adjourn. Okay, Mayor Van Bynen, because you never get to do motions. and Councillor Bazans. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Committee, thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.